Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching Channels Television celebrating 21 years of professional broadcasting. This is the news at 10, a reminder of our major stories tonight. Residents of communities along the Lagos-Ogun River bank count their losses as several are rendered homeless following massive floods. The World Bank and the Nigeria Erosion Watershed Management Project collaborate to address the problem of erosion affecting some communities in Imo State. Authorities of the University of Jos postponed the first semester examinations following a fire outbreak that destroyed the institution's main library. And the second debate between U.S. presidential candidates is overshadowed by a skew of attacks on Republican candidate Donald Trump over his obscene remarks about women. Do remember, all our top stories can be found on our website. It's channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Log on to m.channelstv.com to view us live on a mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Besides the news and updates, the Channels TV app has an eyewitness feature. We encourage you to use it to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the eyewitness menu and follow the instructions. A searchlight is on the Nigerian Judiciary as the Department of State Services, the DSS, raids the residences of senior judges in 5 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. The clampdown follows damning allegations of corruption against these judges. The states raided are Rivers, Enugu, Sokoto, Kano and Gombe, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. While the operation was successful in most states, in Rivers it was foiled by the police and the state governor. Here's Wike.
It's not the first time that the DSS will be carrying out raids after obtaining authorization for such. But this particular one on the homes of some justices across the country is raising a lot of dust. This gives the impression that the legal body has been under investigation for corrupt practices for some time. Confirming this, a DSS official gives details of the weekend raids and the recoveries made.
The service action is in line with its core mandate, as we have been monitoring the expensive and luxurious lifestyle of some of the judges, as well as complaints from the concerned public. The searches have uncovered huge raw cash of various denominations, local and foreign currencies, with real estate worth several millions of naira, and documents affirming unholy acts by these judges. Summaries of these include naira 93,588,000, dollars 530 and $87, pounds 25,970 pounds, euro 5,680 euros.
While the operation was successful in some parts of the country, there was a hitch in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Tension fills the air around number 35 Forces Avenue in the old government reservation area in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Security officials, members of the Rivers State Executive Council, House of Assembly and party officials, led by the Rivers State Governor, are gathered here. The governor says this is the aftermath of a failed attempt to arrest a High Court judge.
So exactly 10 minutes after 1, we got here and we saw some security agencies and we said, what is going on? And they said that they were detailed to arrest a judge. And I said, it is never heard that by 1 a.m. after 1, you are here to arrest a judge when you could as well invite the judge If you cannot read the judge, whoever the judge is, invite the judge to the chief judge. I said, okay, why not in the morning you invite the judge to come, whoever the judge is? And they insisted that by the order they have, that they are directed to pick the judge and bring the judge over.
The Commissioner of Police in the state apparently looking unprepared to engage the media, but after persistence says he's here for peace.
Okay.
The President reserves his highest respect for the institution of the judiciary as a third arm of government, and he will not do anything to undermine its independence. That's according to the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu. He says President Muhammadu Buhari remains a committed Democrat and will not take any action in violation of the Constitution. Mr. Shehu adds that the recent operation against some judicial officers is specifically targeted at corruption and not at the judiciary as an institution. He also notes that there is bound to be a plurality of opinions on this issue, but there is a convergence of views that the country has a corruption problem that needs to be corrected. Joining me now on the News at 10 is a member of the Say No to Corruption campaign, Mr. Ezenwa Nwagwu. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. Mr. Nwagwu, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening. The DSS says this sting operation falls under, falls within its jurisdiction, that it's part of what it's supposed to be doing. What do you say? Does this fall under the DSS jurisdiction to perform sting operations like these?
Well, I think that the state doesn't set up a secret agency to be nice. Part of why perhaps the police or even the FCC was not used in this particular operation will be because they were clear that they would need perhaps, if you like, unconventional methods in tracking their suspect. So the argument as to whether it is within their purview will have to be determined at another discussion. But clearly they have said is within their mandate. There are plurality, like Sheikh Garba said, about different lawyers have come out with different arguments, some in support of the action of the DSS and others against it. But basically for us, they may not get a clap from us, but I don't think they should be slapped.
We've heard the reaction from the Nigerian Bar Association, which made some demands yesterday, asking that these judges be released without any conditions, and that that the DSS should follow the proper due process in doing these things. And then we also heard from the President's special advisor on media saying that the President still has respect for the institution of the judiciary. Does this portray respect for the judiciary, sneaking in on the judges and picking them up in the middle of the night?
Well, I don't think this is. I don't think it's clearly an onslaught on judiciary. There are consensus all over that a lot of people agree that there's a problem with the judiciary, and advocacy. We've treated the judiciary with a lot of reverence in the face of the avalanche of evidence that has implicated a lot of the members of a lot of judicial officers. So what we need to do is not to begin to use a black tar on judiciary, but to say, look, there are individuals within the judiciary that need some explanation to do, and they must have to be made to give those explanations. If there are very verifiable grounds on which they can be arrested, and they have been arrested, they are not going to be taken to special tribunals. They will also be brought to courts and to prove their innocence. So I don't think that it is something on judiciary. We think really that judiciary itself has agreed that there is a need for reform, there is a need for purge. The NJC has tried to resolve their issues administratively, in many cases recommend people for prosecution, but it has simply nibbled on the problem. And I think that they've brought these ant-infested firewood home, and they should not blame anybody for the visit of the lizards.
Very clearly, all institutions in the country are participating in this fight against corruption, the DSS inclusive. But what would have been perhaps the best way for the government to go about this without involving the use of force?
We are put in a very inconvenient dilemma. We have a challenge of corruption. If you follow the niceties, the legal niceties that a lot of people are recommending, which is okay, but you also find out that some of the evidences will disappear. You are likely going to get people getting perpetual injunction from their colleagues to ensure that they are not brought to book. I think that the best way will be for internal mechanisms within the judiciary itself to rise up to the challenge of purging themselves of the people who have questions to answer within them, and doing that in a way that is transparent and open and that can restore confidence to the institution itself. If we don't do that and expect, because a lot of people keep arguing that, oh, the NJC, and I say, hey, if we continue that way, the medical doctors, engineers who have their colleagues implicated in professional misconduct and the rest of them will also begin to raise issues about when their colleagues are brought to book.
Mr.
So the thing to do is to ensure,
so
first and foremost, that within the legal profession, that they're able to deal with these issues themselves.
Mr. Ezenwa-Nwagwu, thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10. Mr. Ezenwa-Nwagwu is a member of the Say No to Corruption campaign. He joined us from our studios in Abuja. In other news, the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation has announced plans to introduce a deposit insurance scheme as a curriculum in 7 universities in the country. The NDIC's Director of Administration, Mrs. Christian Atabo, says the decision, Mr. Christian Atabo says the decision is aimed at enhancing undergraduate knowledge on deposit insurance.
We have the officials of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation at a meeting to sensitize Nigerians on some of its interventions in helping depositors get access to their funds from deposit money banks. Though this is not the first time the corporation will be doing this, it also wants Nigerians to know some of its recent interventions, getting them to understand some of its core mandates. One of such is the introduction of a curriculum on deposit insurance scheme.
We have started a curriculum in the university on deposit insurance scheme. We have been able to graduate a set at the Ahmadu Bello University, and the program is on at Uniben, University of Ife, Nsukka University, University of Lagos.
Also, officials of the bank and traditional rulers want Nigerians to be wary of the activities of operators of wonder banks.
It is important to remind the general public of the activities of illegal funds managers, otherwise known as wonder banks, spreading their lies of financial mirage. It is a worrisome development to the financial regulatory system that despite repeated warnings, many unsuspecting and financially naive members of the public have continued to patronize these dubious fund managers in view of mouth-watering interest rates and unattainable returns they offer their victims.
If you look at what is happening now, there are 419ers who will come to say your ATM has a problem and you need to call certain numbers, and once that is done, they siphon your money. And therefore, I think this is the right time that NDIC has organized this occasion.
While appealing to Nigerians to report cases of sharp practices by banks, they promise to live up to their constitutional mandate of sanctioning defaulters.
The NDIC's Director of Administration is Mrs. Christina Atabo. Still ahead on the news at 10, on Art Review tonight, our focus is on Francis Nkuda, an artist that uses his environment to express his works. Do join us again.